Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hey Ritvik, how are you?
Fine.
Good afternoon. Good. So you are based in Pune or some other location?
Right now I am in Delhi only.
Oh, you are from Delhi? You're,
Yes.
you're from. So Ritvik, so you are going to office, you're still working from home.
So previously I was working with Amdocs, but that was work from home. So Amdocs is in Pune only, but I was working work from home. But I was a
Okay.
third-party resource there, so I was in cloud migration program. So my project got rolled off. So basically
Okay.
I work from Delhi only.
Okay. But your work location is Pune, right?
It was lastly it was Pune, but right now I am not working anywhere. That's the thing.
Oh, you have left the company?
Yes, actually, company has left me, stating that your project is complete.
Okay, you are working as a contractor for
I was
Amdocs.
a third-party payroll, but that was permanent role, but project got rolled off.
Okay. So when was your last date? How long you not been working?
4th of Feb.
4th of Feb. Okay. So that's one month, right?
Yes.
So, have you given any interviews?
Yes, I am
And
continuously giving interviews, but
mhm. Okay,
there are sometimes somewhere there are some salary-related issues. Some are tough. Some are in the last round. I am rejected. So there is one company in Gurgaon, Ernest and Young. So one round is left, and if it goes well, then I am through. But technical part is clear there.
well, all the best for the search. Don't worry, you will get it. It takes a
Ah,
little bit of. All
yeah.
right. So you are satisfied with the Gurgaon location, or are
Good.
you comfortable with the Pune location?
I am comfortable for both the locations.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right, Ritvik. Okay, cool. Thank you for that nice start. I really appreciated that. So have you gone through the company? What is IS all about? Did you
Ye-
get a chance?
yes, Integral AD company is the company which I have gone through that document. So it
Mhm.
has clients. And the projects which the company is handling. So those projects are receiving millions of requests per second. So the job role is site reliability engineer. So from site reliability engineer's perspective, so that is more of the monitoring part is more on focus. Plus all the
Mhm.
handling of the infrastructure related and complete DevOps plus monitoring is there.
Okay, okay. A bit of it, but let me just give you. So IS is called as integral ad science, right? So we are into ad tech domain, advertisement domain,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So what we do, we don't like publish the ads like like Yahoo publishes or Facebook, but what we do authenticate these ads, right? We make sure that these ads wherever it is placed, they are fraud free. The human is looking at it. There is no bots who are checking the ads, clicking the ads. And so we have many products in the market. So we have like brand safety, then brand suitability. So we make sure that these ads are displayed at the right time, at the right content. They should not be displayed next to something, right? There should not be any bad languages, right? There's something called as publishers, advertisers, then ad exchanges. So we are into edtech domain completely, right? So regarding IS, we are into industry from like past. So we started in 2009. So we around have like 12 years into edtech domain, right? And our presence is global, not just India, but all over the world, right? So we are
Yeah, yeah,
in
got it.
many countries, and what we don't hire people like in bunch, because see, I'm not sure whether you have worked for a product based company or not, but we don't hire like people in bunch. We make sure that our quality is good. So I might hire one in 100 people, right? So like that, because we want to make sure that people are good, not just like technically but professionally as well. So Pune, they started their office just 1 year back. It's in Viman Nagar, Pune, right? So Pune is going to be the R&D team. It's called a COE, Center of Excellence, right? So all the development, all the testing, all the infrastructure is gonna happen through Pune. So this is their COE kind of an premise in India, right? So we are actively now, since I told you about edtech domain. So if you look at the company, what kind of talent we acquire, it's mostly into data engineering, data science, artificial intelligence, right? People who there are many technologies that are coming in the market. So have you heard about this technology called as metaverse?
Metaverse I have not heard, but AI and machine learning and data engineering, all those I have heard.
Good. So metaverse means that you're doing everything in a virtual world, right? You might have
Okay.
seen news coming lately saying that people are getting the virtual world, getting married, right? All
Yeah,
these.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. That I
metaverse.
have heard. That I have heard.
So how edtech benefits from it? So suppose if you're playing a game, right? Like
Hmm.
say you're playing a football game and a cricket game, so you will see some ads just playing in the background, right? You will see players carrying some ads on the t-shirts, right? So what metaverse technology does, that it gives you a chance that you can buy something there. Then the companies will come and they will ask you, right, what kind of display you want on the dashboards, right? So all these things come in the. So there will be a future when you don't have to go for shopping, right? You don't have to go anywhere. All you have to do, you will be looking at a virtual world. You will be ordering. So you will be telling the bot that, okay, I want to have this kind of a dress, and they will check it out for you, and then it will send it to your address. So that's the metaverse. So we are working on the metaverse side. This is one of the technologies, but we are working on multiple technologies, right? So mainly we focus on the employees, like having data engineering knowledge, data science knowledge, artificial intelligence, right? So even when people get hired for DevOps or SRE, so they work on this domain.
Okay.
So now talking about myself, right? So I've been in the IT for close to 10 years now, actually more than 10 years. So I started my career with Infosys, now moved to multiple companies, and just few months back, like 6 7 months back, I joined IAS. So I worked in multiple locations. So I started my career as a DevOps engineer, then worked for the cloud computing side. Then currently and previous organizations, I was working for site reliability engineering, and now at IAS, I'm handling the team for SREs. Right, so it's not just the management, but I work as a team leader, more on the technical stuff, right? So you'll come to know once we proceed with this interview, right? So any questions till far, no, till now,
I am
or
good. I am good.
okay, all right, Ritvik. So over to you. Know, so just give me a brief. You don't have to tell me, like in detail. Just give me the brief. How you started your career? What are the various technologies? See, I take multiple interviews in a day, right? It's been like going for a 1 month, and when I look at the resume, there are multiple technologies that people mention on the resume. But when I ask some technical questions on a a little bit of detail, so they won't be able to tell me, right? So I want you to be specific where you have practically implemented the things, right? So because I will be more focused to ask the questions around only that. Cool.
Okay. So from scratch, I mean from the starting. So I started my career as from the bilkul, I mean from the bottom line. So that is the
Okay.
desktop support only.
Okay.
So in
Hmm.
HCL I was a desktop support engineer. So from there I went to a project known as the DPR project. That was a technical support project in which I had to use all the issues which were coming into the VMs and the desktops of the US based clients. And then after that I did a CCNA. So that, and after that I was back in operations, and I was
Mhm.
working as an L1 network support engineer. And after that I pursued CCNP and moved to Sysnet Global Technologies as a full-time network engineer.
Ritik, I'm really sorry to interrupt you there. So when you say that you are working as a desktop engineer in SCL, I just wanted to understand what kind of tickets you are handling, whether they were like application related or infrastructure related or like server related.
Uh,
So
dec-
if
desk-
you just give,
Desktop
yeah.
related issues, because that time I was a fresher,
Okay.
and both application related issues, hardware and software and everything from end to end. And in
So
system,
they wanted to the RAM size or something like that, or they wanted to do some patching on the hardware side, then you used to work on these tickets.
yes, yes. So,
Okay,
all
cool.
that stuff. And the version we are using ticketing tool was BMC version 7.9 back then. So, and after that, in Sysnet Global Technologies, I was working as a full-time network engineer. So, I was handling internal infra also, and there were two projects. One was SME and one was the value support. So, after that, I mean, the projects were getting rolled off, and something, I mean, projects were going in hiccups. So, they were
Hmm.
offering me the printer kind of thing. So, printer is not was not my field of area. That's totally.
Okay.
And so after that I moved to KMG. So in KMG also I was a network executive, but slowly they to cut down the cost. So in itself it is a company, and they had certain clients. One was Hughes, one was Amway, and there were multiple clients. So they started asking me to explore about the cloud things. So I was to go there as a deputation engineer, and whatever their requirements were, I used to do the R&D and do study documentation, and then implement those kind of things there. After that, I moved to the Amdocs. So in Amdocs, I handled two projects. So Amdocs, as of now, in Pune only, but they are hiring 90% of the workforce on the third-party payroll. So in my pod also, I mean, if there were 10 people, so nine of them were on the third-party payroll. So it consisted of pods in which one was the team leader, and one was onshore team leader, one was database administrator, 4 platform engineers. So and the project consisted of multiple pods for application migrations to cloud. So my client was AT&T, American Telephone and Telegraph.
Okay.
They had 7,000 applications in which 4,000 were supposed to be migrated to the Azure cloud. Then so the contract was distributed between 5 companies. So one was Amdocs, one was Accenture, one was Microsoft, IBM, and one other. So there were 8 to 9 steps for the migration of the applications to the cloud. So so should I go ahead and explain all of them?
So when you say about migration, so are you doing it from the? So I guess you have used AWS. That's what I see on the resume.
No. AWS I was using in KMG. In Amdocs they are end-to-end using Azure.
Azure. Cool. So when I say about migration, so were you doing it from the command line or from the console level?
Through Terraform I was doing.
Through Terraform you were doing?
So in cloud migrations program, what you have to do, say on-prem you have applications which have the databases, load balancers, and the VMs and all those stuff. So you have to exactly map them to the cloud. So for that the target architecture was given to us, and I used to create the resources like databases, load balancers, and VMs and route tables and subnets and network security groups. So all those things. And after that the project was handed over to the administrator. Let's say if you want to do any configurations in Linux, so Linux administrator was supposed to continue that. And similarly we had Windows administrator, server administrators. So my task was still to create the virtual machines. And there were 5 environments which we had to create for a single application. That's why it took a lot of time. The application, the timeline was 3 months for a single application. So my task was that my team leader used to take the applications from the on-prem team and give to our bucket, and my role started from the ADO onboarding. So ADO onboarding is the AT&T proprietary process in which we had to fill the certain entries, and after that 2 environments, one was prod and one was non-prod. DevOps used to reflect in the Azure portal automatically, and 3 environments, POC, non-prod and prod, we were supposed to create using Terraform according to the target architecture, and every application had a detailed documentation. So first you have to go through the documentation, understand what that application actually is and what are the requirements. So this was the overall. Other project was a BSSC project. So Amdocs is a product-based company. So BSSC is their internal product. So no client was there. That project included that the application developers were there, though they used to push their code in the Nexus. From Nexus it was pushed to the Bitbucket, and we used to trigger the Jenkins pipeline manually. One was in the morning time, one was in the afternoon time, and the changes we had to do in the Bitbucket, and the Word document was given by the QE team in the morning time. So on the daily basis we had to change the code and commit it and then run the Jenkins pipeline.
Okay.
So
Okay.
for in that project, I was around 1 to 1.5 months, because MDocs had, dedicated way hired me for a cloud migration program only.
Okay. Cool. Nice. So let's say you are hired for a company, right? And they want to use Azure, right? Let's say that since you work more recently you worked on Azure, right? So you're coming as an engineer, right? And they're telling you that we want to create an infrastructure to Terraform, right? So you're going to ask them what kind of a tool set I know you are going to use. So like, have you heard about this called as LAMP stack? Do you know what is LAMP?
LAMP stack stands for Linux, Apache, MongoDB,
MySQL DB,
MySQL DB, and one P is for PHP, I think.
right? So it's end to end. So we have a virtual machine, we have a database, uh, we have an application in PHP, right? So this is the LAMP stack, and they're asking you to write a Terraform script. We want to launch a LAMP stack let's say in Azure. So just give me the steps. Maybe if you're creating a GitHub repository, you do that and let me know how you're going to do that.
So first of all, in AWS, I have already created LAMP stack manually. But in the Terraform, let's say if I want to create any script, so the script I will start with the provider. So provider is Azure, and then we will use the resource. So which resource group is it? In resource group, we will use the subscription ID, and then the VM ID and all those stuff. So at the first place, to deploy any applications, so the infrastructure which we are going to, deploy, such as that we need to create VNets and load balancers and everything. First of all, we will deploy.
So what will be the hierarchy of the folders? What are the various file structure you are going to use in Terraform?
So in MDocs, the structure was they had independent files, and in variables they had dependencies. But in general, if we are creating in a single file in the main.tf, so in that way, first of all, we have to create the VNet, because inside the whole network everything is line. After that, we will have the subnets, and inside that we will have the gateways and the everything and load balancers. So after that, and then inside that we will run various script for the LAMP stacks installations. Like in Nginx, I had created one script in MDocs. So the providers that was used was Nginx. So for the training purpose. So in that way, the Terraform script will run.
Okay, so to be more specific, so when you talk about main.tf file, right? How you're going to mention about the region, in which region of AWS or maybe in Azure you're going to mention the region. So where you are going to mention that? So you are going to launch your instance in a region, right? So where you are going to mention the region?
Region, I think.
My question is clear, right?
Yes.
Because see, when you open, suppose let's do it from the console level. So once you log into any Azure or AWS, so first you have to select your region, right? Whether you're selecting US East 1, US East 2, right? 2B, 2.
So first of all, we have to select the region. So after the providers, we will select the region, whether it's East US2 or West US2 or whatever.
Okay. And what will you mention in the networks file?
Network file. In basically in VNet file, we will give the VNet ID and all that stuff. And in the networks, basically whatever are there, we will give their IDs.
Okay, fine. Right. So you have heard about the CIDR block, right? So if I give you an IP address, let's say 10.4.6.8 and / the network ID is, let's say, 22. So how many IPs will be available to you for use?
So 2 raised to power 10 minus 5. But I think you have not given me the CIDR. You have given me a particular IP or a subnet.
Yes.
Either it's a subnet or it's a particular IP, because if you talk about because I am a hardcore network engineer, so I catch people very easily in networking part.
Oh,
so that's
good. Okay. So what is the difference between security group and the NACL rules, NACL?
NACLs are applied on the subnets, and the other one security groups are applied on the EC2 instances. So security groups are stateful. So in stateful, if inbound traffic is coming, outbound is already automatically allowed, because it thinks that the traffic we are sending out is given by us, so no security is required. So in NACL, if we apply inbound rule, outbound rules have to be also be applied, and if you don't apply, then your resource will not work, simply.
Right. So let's take about a case, right? Let me So you're creating a VPC, let's say, right? So can you just walk me through the process? How do you create the VPC in, let's say, in Azure or in AWS?
So VPC is in AWS, and VNet is in Azure. So if I talk about the VPC, one default VPC is already given by the AWS, but if we want to create our private VPC, we can create. So first of all, we will log into our AWS portal, and after that we will select the region. We will create the VPC, and then we will create the subnets, internet gateways, and then the route tables. So 4 steps we need to follow.
So where will you keep your database, in private subnet or the public subnet?
In private always. The two-tier architecture is that the application servers will be public facing and the databases will be private facing, and there is a 3-tier architecture in which all the backend server will be public, and second subnet will be that application, and the third one will be databases, if security is a concern.
So now if I let's say your database is in the private subnet, and if you want to have regular updates for the database from your internet, so how you're going to do it? Because your private subnet will not have access to the internet, right?
Using NAT gateway or NAT instance we can do, or otherwise do it internally.
Cool. So do you understand how DNS works?
The DNS, there are various types of DNS. So one is, let me give you what types of DNS servers are. One are using by ISPs, Internet Service Providers. So those are domain-based DNS server. Inside the cloud, we are using FQDNs, and the other types of DNS services are used by load balancers to convert IP to give their services. So DNS servers are of various types.
Those are various types. So I just want to understand. So when you type google.com or anything on the browser, so how your request gets responded. So do you know how it works in the background?
So in
how it changes?
In the background, if I hit any URL, so it will go to the first of all, it will search in the caching in my own browser only. If it is found, then it is okay, and then it will go to the ISP servers, and then it will try to, it is like a telephone directory in which phone numbers are given and the names are given. So IPs are matched to the domain names.
Right.
So domain name will be converted to IPs, and that will hit a particular server.
So there are namespaces, authenticator servers, right? Which authenticate the results, and namespaces are there.
Actually, there is a hierarchy of server. One is the root server, authoritative server, name servers, and there are n number of servers there. Actually, DNS is a very vast topic altogether. So if you are requesting something, so there is one step ahead. They are using content delivery network as of today.
CDN.
So they are.
So have you used Route 53?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Nice. Good. So see, this is, since you are certified from networking, so obviously you're going to have a good knowledge on the networking side. Now, coming on your skills on the SRE side, right? So do you know what is SRE all about?
So as far as I know, I have not been, frankly, I tell you, as I have been a platform engineer and a DevOps engineer in the cloud world, etc. But SRE I have not worked. So a few days back, I received a call from Wipro, and he rejected me, saying that SRE is different, DevOps engineer is different, so your profile is not matching. So so Wipro has rejected me on the profile basis. But SRE is something which is more of the monitoring kind of thing.
Not really monitoring. See, even in DevOps, when anybody builds the applications, right, does the testing CI/CD and deploys it on the server, right? So they say their work is done, right? But how we are going to measure the performance of the
Yeah.
server or for the application, right? So that's where the site reliability engineers come in, right? So in one line, if I tell you SRE, so SRE is actually the software engineer. They should have a coding knowledge,
Oh,
right? Development knowledge, right? Because they have to code the infrastructure, right? So if you see in SRE should have a knowledge of Python, or maybe Go is coming in the market now, or maybe Bash scripting is there. So which scripting or programming knowledge you're good with?
so as of now, in future, I am planning to learn the Python scripting. But back in KMG, I used to do the small scripting for in shell script. But I have
So you
not
have
shell script. But I have for quite 1 year, I have not been in touch. But
okay.
okay, so what happened was that it was not my regular task. So whenever we had to do the automations, so for testing purpose, since we had to deploy the things, so when you launch an EC2 instance, so there we had a user data script. So there we used to run the scripts, and I was not the only person which was creating it. I mean, we used to create as a team. You used to build the logics. Some logic is built by me, somebody is other. And if any automation task is coming, because other people might also be doing that, so we used to take first step was to take the logic from the Google only.
Okay, but you understand the logic, right? If I give you
Yes,
some code,
yes.
you will understand all loops and all that stuff. Because see, for SREs, coding is very important because they need to understand. See, sometimes when application is not working well, so we need our SREs to go and check the application code, fix the code itself. There might be a syntax error, there might be error in the error in some variables or something, right? Or it might not be. There are many connections, many libraries within that application, right?
So regarding understanding of code, I understand the code very well. But if you want to create any application from the scratch, so from there the skeleton code we have to take from somewhere, and even developers are doing that. From here and there, they are coding the code, and then they are changing the code according to themselves. So if I talk about my coding experience when I was building scripts in the Terraform, so the skeleton code was was kept in the golden images, so Azure 00 repository. From there I used to take and then build my own code. So let's say if there is any program in shell scripting is given that there are a number of IPs and I have to filter out the duplicate IPs. So in KMG I had written one program for this thing. But we whole as a team were required. And regarding the understanding of the code, so I can understand the code because I did my BE in computer science, and in 11th 12th also I had Java programming languages. So code I understand, but building the code and understanding the code is something different. So developers also are of two types. So one developers are hardcore developers who develop the application from the scratch, and one are the developers who are only making changes in the code and call themselves developers. So that's the thing.
So what kind of developers do you like the scratch, from the people who start from the scratch or the one who makes the changes?
The people who start from the scratch. So basically when I was in BTech, so my academics were very well, so I had both the options. Either I could go in the software development or go through the networking. But since I had done some hardware related stuff from Jenkins in first year, so I got placed in networking domain. So I decided to continue in networking, and then KMG changed my profile to cloud. But regarding software development, so there are 5 to 6 types of languages I would like to share. So one is JSON and YAML. So those are used in DevOps. So I am well versed with it. In Jenkins we are using Groovy, so I understand that language also. One is shell script, so that is I am not in touch with it for around 1 year. In Python scripting I am planning to learn after I land in a job, and so these 5 types of programming are there.
Okay, not a problem, Ritik. I like your, the kind of positive attitude that you carry. That's okay. So Ritik, what I'll do, this is like this hasn't happened before in the interview. Actually, I got a production issue, right? So just give me maybe half an hour. Are you okay to be if I call you after half an hour?
Mhm.
Is it fine for you,
Yes,
Ritvik?
yes, yes.
Right? So don't worry, I'm going to call you. Don't worry, I'm not going to call you. I'm going to talk because I want to go into more technical details, right? Because I wanted to make sure that you're matching what I'm looking for.
Mhm.
So let me fix this production issue. I have a meeting
Okay.
just now, right?
So
I have
so do I need to call you? I mean,
no,
मुझे
no. I'll call you at sharp 4 or 4:50.
in my mobile phone or in this.
So just make sure that you are. Wait, I have your resume here, right?
Okay, so let me do one thing. I will switch off my audio and video and will continue in this meeting only. This we can do.
So you want to stay on the Zoom call itself?
And I will come back at 4.
Cool. Yeah, you can switch off. Yeah, you can keep the meeting open like this.
Meeting will be
I think
open.
you have the free. Yeah, it's a free license, right? It's not like 20 minutes of meeting or something. So keep it open. I'll be back in at 4. I'll try to do it as soon as possible.
Okay.
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 So just stay on the call. I will drop
Uh,
because I have to go.
so I will be back in half an hour.
Yeah, I'll see you at 4 o'clock. Don't worry, I'll be there. I'm not like other interviewers. I'll be back. Cool. Chalo, take care.